Good morning to all our viewers out there. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning, and it's Global Morning on Global Television. I am and of course, my co-hosts are on standby. Michael Adik and of course Queen Agaba will be joining in very shortly on the program. Now, today on Global Morning, we'll be looking at some very threatening political issues. Firstly, we'll be looking at the arrest of Joe Ajaero yesterday. Of course, he has been released now. We're looking at the key areas of, when he was arrested on his way to United Kingdom, and then we'll be looking at the release in the course of the program, and of course, we'll be looking at some issues that are trending in the society when it comes to looking at the fuel as the situation at this point, and of course, individuals, the economy in the course of the program. And Global Morning has the newspaper review, and we have some segments, sports, business on the segments on Global Morning. Like I said, I am Jumai Manson. Sit back and relax as we go quickly into some of our trending issues on Global Morning this beautiful Tuesday morning. And first, we'll just quickly go for our business segment and let's see what the business world has in stock for us. Stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to Business Report. The federal government company income tax collection in the second quarter of 2024 rose by 150.83% to 2.47 trillion naira. In the first 3 months of the year, CIT collection stood at 984.61 billion naira. This is according to the CIT collection data for the second quarter of the year published by National Bureau of Statistics. According to the report, local payment in the period under review amounted to 1.35 trillion naira, while foreign CIT payment contributed 1.12 trillion naira. On a quarter-on-quarter basis, the agriculture, forestry, and fishing sector exhibited the highest growth rate at 474.50%, followed by financial and insurance activities at 429.76% and manufacturing at 114.15%. On the other hand, the lowest growth rate was observed in the household activities as employers and undifferentiated goods and services producing activities for the own use, which recorded a decline of minus 30.22%, followed by extraterritorial organizations and bodies with a decrease of minus 15.67%. In the second quarter of 2024, the top three sectors contributing the largest share were financial and insurance activities at 15.53%, manufacturing at 8.99%, and information and communication at 7.84%. In contrast, household activities as employers and undifferentiated goods and services producing activities for own use had the smallest share at 0.00%, followed by water supply, sewage, waste management and remediation activities at 0.02%, and extraterritorial organizations and bodies at 0.03%. On a year-on-year basis, CIT collection in second quarter of 2024 rose by 59.52% compared to 1.55 trillion naira recorded in the second quarter of 2023. The federal government has debunked claims that it plans to increase the value-added tax rate from 7.5% to 10%. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of Economy, Wale Edun, disclosed this in a statement posted by Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga. Edun explained that the tax system is built on three pillars: tax policy, tax laws, and tax administration. He emphasized that these elements must function cohesively to establish a robust system that strengthens the government's fiscal position. The minister noted that the government's priority is to leverage fiscal policy to foster sustainable economic growth, reduce poverty, and create a flourishing business environment. The media in the past weeks has been awash with reports of the proposed increase in the VAT rate following the interview of the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform, Taiwo Oyedele. Electricity distribution companies across the country collected 150.86 billion naira in revenues in June 2024, representing a collection efficiency rate of 85.44%. The fact sheet on electricity distribution companies' performance in the month published by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission stated that DISCOs across the country billed customers up to 176.57 billion naira. According to the fact sheet, Ikeja Disco received the highest revenue for the month at 30.06 billion naira, representing a billing efficiency rate of 102.44%. It was followed by Eco Disco, which recorded a billing efficiency ratio of 97.07%, collecting up to 26.37 billion naira, while Benin Disco recorded the third highest billing efficiency of 89.49%. Abuja Disco collected the third highest revenue at 24.29 billion naira. On the other hand, Yola Disco recorded the biggest revenue collection efficiency rate, as well as lowest revenue among electricity distribution companies for the month at 60.81% respectively. This was followed by Jos and Kaduna Disco at 62.03% and 66.46% respectively. Yola, Jos, and Kaduna Disco collected 3.08, 4.96, and 5.01 billion naira respectively. Kikelomo Okere.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
You're welcome back, and it's still Global Morning on Global Television. And like I said in the course of the program, we're going to be looking at the arrest and, of course, the release of the Nigerian Labor Union president, who is no other person than Joe Ajaero. And we'll be looking at, we cannot talk about the release without looking at the arrest that happened on his way to United Kingdom. He was intercepted at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. And of course, it has been described as a brazen act of lawlessness and intimidation. We'll be wondering, why did the arrest take place in the first place? What is this all about? We need to ask these questions, and of course, what actually prompted the release of course, the LLC, no other person than Joe Ajaero. Like, we'll be looking at it in the course of the program, and sit back and relax, and let us see what we'll be hearing views of individuals who will share their like minds on what this is all about. Is it a sort of distraction? Is it a sort of implication of some of sort that happened? We are wondering, and we'll be looking in depth in this particular issue at hand. Stay tuned. Up next is sports segment.
Hello and welcome to Sports. The Super Eagles began live in the qualifiers for the 2025 African Cup of Nations with an emphatic 3-0 win over Benin Republic in Uyo on Saturday, while Rwanda were held to a 1-1 still by Libya last Wednesday. With Nigeria atop the Group D standings with 3 points, the three-time African champions will be hoping to make it 2 wins as many games as they will lock horns with Rwanda, that's in Kigali today. The Super Eagles, led by interim manager Augustine Eguavon, will be heading into their 6th meeting against the Amavubi, who are ranked 39 in Africa, and like Benin Republic, they are also drawn in their group in the African qualifiers for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. It will also interest you that the Group D Match Day 2 encounter between Rwanda and Nigeria in the African Cup of Nations 2025 qualifiers is a cracker that will be happening at Amahoro National Stadium in Kigali. The Super Eagles and the Amavubi of Rwanda have only faced each other on a handful of occasions, with the former currently unbeaten in this fixture. One of their previous meetings, Nigeria have recorded 2 wins, 3 draws, and have yet to suffer a defeat, while Rwanda have been on the end of 2 defeats and 3 draws. Along with their victory over Benin's Cheta, the Super Eagles are on a run of 7 wins, 2 draws, and 4 losses in their last 13 matches. Meanwhile, their last 11 games, Rwanda have recorded 3 wins, 3 losses, and 5 draws in their recent matches against West African oppositions, Benin and Senegal. They have recorded 2 draws and 2 losses. In this game, there are players to watch out for Nigeria. Victor Osimhen is one player that people will be watching out for in that game, despite an injury-riddled 2023-24 campaign with Napoli. The Nigerian striker finished the season with 17 goals and 4 assists in 32 matches. The 25-year-old, who just secured a move to Turkish side Galatasaray, is now Nigeria's outright third all-time leading scorer with 22 goals in 36 matches. The Nigerian has a brilliant record in African qualifiers with 16 goals and 8 assists in 13 matches. Another player to watch out for in that game is Ademola Lookman, who has been nominated in the Ballon d'Or. He enjoyed a fruitful 2023-24 campaign with his Italian club Atalanta, finishing the season with 17 goals and 10 assists in 47 matches. The 26-year-old, who was recently nominated for the Ballon d'Or, like I said earlier, was Nigeria's joint top scorer at the African Cup of Nations with 3 goals, and he has 8 goals and 4 assists in 23 matches for the Super Eagles and will be looking to add to the brace he scored against Benin Republic. Another wonderful player to look out for in Nigeria in the game between these two countries is William Troost-Ekong. He is one of Nigeria's best performers at the African Cup of Nations. Troost-Ekong, who was named the most valuable player at the tournament in Ivory Coast, made a return to the team after a knee injury. The Al-Koloed defender has made 72 appearances for Nigeria, scoring 7 goals, and his return to the Super Eagles defense marked a win and a first clean sheet in 7 matches for the side. Let's quickly look at Rwanda and see the crop of players that everyone will have to look out for. The first one from Rwanda is Innocent Nshuti, the 26-year-old forward who played for one Knoxville SC in the United Kingdom, is one of the leading players in the Rwandan national team. Since he made his debut in 2021, Nshuti has scored 2 goals in 11 matches for Amavubi. He scored the equalizer in their 1-1 draw against Libya in their opening match. Another player to also look out for in Rwanda is Koje Kwizera. At 25-year-old, Kwizera, who plays for Rhode Island FC in the United States, has scored 1 goal in 3 matches since he made his debut for Rwanda against Benin Republic in June. This is one of the qualifiers that a lot of people will be looking out for today.
All right, you're welcome back from that sports segment. Up next is a newspaper review. Stay tuned. All right, like I mentioned, it is a newspaper review, and I'm not doing this segment alone. I have my co-host here with me, no other person than Edike Michael, who has been behind the scene watching and directing what's going on Global Morning. Michael, it's great to have you on the program.
Good morning, Kumari.
Good morning. And this is not the first time we've been on air together.
Of course, it's always a pleasure to always have you writing on the issues in the country. I mean, when you look at the fact that a whole lot is really happening, when you understand issues of insecurity, detention of the NLC president.
Exactly.
I mean,
And
it's
the
really talking
release
about the
now.
papers and the release now. I mean, as at 11:59 p.m., that was when it was released. This is someone that was billed to speak at international events
Exactly.
in the United Kingdom. So a lot of concern about, is this an intimidation by the government
Exactly.
on people to speak? Is this a way of infringing on the right of Nigerians? So what does
Exactly.
it really mean? What is
Exactly.
the offense? These are the questions Labour were asking. These are the questions Nigerians are asking. You also understand that SERAP, their offices was actually besieged yesterday.
Yes, by
By
DSS.
DSS, on the grounds that they are saying, government, please remove back the increase of the fuel price.
Exactly.
And these are the common things that is really disturbing the country. But we must pay attention to that because we hold the people, the right to really bring this up to speed. Let's get to the papers.
Of
very
course,
quickly.
and we will start with the Daily Trust. And below the caption of the Daily Trust, that's the template now, it says, bandits kill 7, abduct nurses, others in Kaduna and Sokoto. And then Tinubu's absence forces APC's postpone causes NEC meeting. And then it says, below that caption, it says, here, the Star Story there says DSS releases Ajero minutes to NLC's deadline. And we have 2 riders there, and it says operatives go after syrup direction, and it says TUC Amnesty, Falana, others condemn act. And it says high transport fare, students trek, others boycott schools. This is really unfortunate.
Other issues
really.
we're not even paying attention to.
Really,
because
other
Some
issues.
schools have resumed, and some parents are having to, struggle with the payment of school
Yes,
fees.
the increment.
Transportation to schools, feeding, which is also an issue right now in
Yes.
the country. A lot of people are struggling to feed. So, I mean, when you look at the fact that there's high transportation
It
fare,
is.
so how do parents begin to cope, due to the economic and inflation in the country? But in a way, it's also a signal to the fact that some people are already boycotting schools. You're aware of also trying to push a lot of people back to the street, where we are saying we are having high number of peoples and students in the street.
Yes.
Why can't we just not find a way of trying to see how we can encourage them back to the classroom? But
Yes.
I mean, the parents are having the tough time right now, understanding issues of transportation, issues of school fees. It's a whole big lot.
No, I
to
was
really look at.
discussing with Uyi. Some schools have decided that in a week, students can attend school thrice in a week: Monday,
Well, that's a way to go.
Wednesdays, and Fridays,
probably.
in order to boycott the issue of transportation, the increments. But some schools, parents are pulling out their children from school due to the increments of school fees, and these schools are saying we cannot be operational. It's a must. There's no other way around it. We have to. The increment of school fees is a must. So it's just
It's
unfortunate.
also a time where we see where we are, because we've seen government are saying, oh, workers, we're trying to reduce the days of your work. But have they paid attention to the teachers? These are the teachers that are, their responsibility is that they have to be in the classroom. They have to be to school every day. So when you say workers, how about the teachers in the primary school? How about the teachers in the secondary school? Are government really paying attention? So it's also time to look at the issues of welfare, that has to do with teachers. Because
Very true.
when you understand that they say that the reward of teachers are in heaven, and some teachers are saying,
No, we want our reward
we
here.
want the reward here. So it's also
Exactly.
time to start paying attention to what teachers are earning, their welfareism, because we have to encourage them at this very difficult time.
Yes, we do. But let's look at the Star Story here that says DSS releases Ajero minutes to NLC's deadline. They actually gave a deadline. Michael, you throw in more light, because of course that's your bit when it comes to INEC and all of that. Talking about there was a deadline. What do you think would have happened if the deadline was not met?
NLC is a very powerful force in the country.
Yes, we know.
The moment we understand that holding the president is not just about Ajero, it's about you are holding NLC to ransom. So they felt it's an intimidation on the part of government to the body. It's also felt it is an intimidation that they don't want them to speak. I recall that 11 days ago they had invited him into the police,
Of
and
course.
then he went there, answered the questions. And this is someone that was billed, as I earlier said, to speak at a TUC event in the United Kingdom. And on his way to the airport, you understand the security agencies are doing their job better, and so they apprehended him at the airport.
At Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport.
At Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport.
On his way to London,
On
right?
his way to London, no invitations, no grounds of, this is why we have to call you on our own, and all of that.
But from the reports we gathered, he was stopped because they didn't want him to go out and talk about the issues of Nigeria in London.
Every defense to that action by DSS.
Why am I laughing at this issue, please?
It's because it's very laughable. acceptable.
Really?
Why should it be at the point where he is traveling out of the country
Exactly.
to attend an official function representing all the labor in the country? Because he's not just speaking for himself.
But you heard the circumstances behind that arrest is because they do not want him to go outside the shores of Nigeria to talk about the issues in which we have in this country.
It is two ways. There might also be issues of terrorism, that they have alleged that we find him one thing or the other. But in any case, we are saying, no matter the allegations you have against the NLC president,
exactly,
it ought to be either by invitation, it ought to be either by allowing him to go represent, the body at an international event. Probably when he's back, you can actually attend to this issue, because right now it's actually an international embarrassment.
Yes, it is.
The body out there, the Amnesty have reacted, Amnesty International have reacted, many bodies have reacted, Serap have reacted. So these are international organizations
Very true.
a way that have also drawn attention of the international world
exactly.
to these issues. So it's a way that DSS understand that, if you have to do your work, please, let's see how timely we can be able to do all of this so as not to step into the foot.
I know, quickly before we move to the next paper, which is The Guardian, I was discussing with some of our colleagues, and they said their problem with Joe Ajaero, who's the president of the NLC, is like why is he putting in his private affairs, mixing it up with the NLC, causing havoc in our country, Nigeria? And I was like, are you kidding me right now? He's fighting for a just cause, increments of minimum wage. Where were we at a point? But at the same time, our colleagues said some states are struggling to actually pay these amounts.
They have not even implemented that. We are looking at issues of increase of the petrol. But we are saying, government, the 70,000 that you promised to pay, you agreed with Labour to pay. Recall that just when the government had increased, NNPC had increased, Labour came out and said, federal government, you have betrayed us. And this is not part of the agreement we had. We agreed that you will not pay us 250,000 because we want the 70,000 so that you will not increase, the price of petrol. But in a way, government and NNPC had to increase that without consultation to Labour. So Labour is saying you have betrayed us. But in excess, we are only trying to get to the point that you've not implemented what you agreed. We've not seen some workers earning this new minimum wage.
And some states, don't forget, are still owing 30,000
The 30,000, some states are not even paying.
Exactly.
Some states we're not even paying that. So how do we begin to enforce, the federal government and the states to start paying this new minimum wage? That's a new thing right now, because it looks that the fuel price right now is the done deal. You understand that everything that goes up in Nigeria never happens to really, really, really comes down. When fuel was 500, we were imagining that it would just be within few months.
Exactly.
Probably to get back to the 200, 300. But right now, from 500 to 680.
I bought at 900
right
plus,
now,
and some people bought at 1,002, 1,004.
1,000 naira. It's really we didn't see this coming.
We didn't. I didn't see this coming. But let's move on to the next paper now. It's The Guardian. Michael, you're going to run us through the Guardian newspaper, please.
All right. On the Guardian newspaper, big story right there. The Guardian, the looming strike. Labour security agencies in deadlock over Ajaero's arrest and harassment. We can find that on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. 2027, Labour Party strips Obi OT of automatic ticket. That's on page 3. We also have bandit invade hospital, kidnapped nurses, patients killed 7 on page 20 of the Guardian newspaper. Reps Committee accuses BPE of wasting 10 billion naira registering 2 failed companies. Tension as soldiers invade Okoma community again. You can find that on page 29 of the Guardian paper. Food prices spike amid government's delay of VAT hike. AGF moves to stop state pardon for indicted politicians. Shareholders move to recover over 700 billion naira trapped in private placement. That's it on the Guardian. But very quickly, what is really standing out in the Guardian paper is the issue of 2027. We've seen Labour Party yesterday stripping off Obi of automatic ticket. According to the Labour leaders, Abure is saying, Peter Obi, we can't reserve the ticket of 2027 for you because you understand the issue that Abure is trying to, take charge of the, of the party.
exactly.
And the other way around, some Labour people are saying, Abure, your time is up. Can you please vacate the office and all of that? So it's an issue right now because Abure had to hold a press conference yesterday and saying, Peter Obi, we are not reserving any ticket for you for 2027, even to Governor of Abia State, Alex Otti, and all of that. But in the issue is an internal politics of the Labour Party. But we are trying to establish that this is a party that probably, you know, many Nigerians have felt, oh, it looks that we need a fresh air. But in a way, they're having more internal crisis where they can't really solve their internal
own problems.
So how would they be able to confront the issues of the country? Because one is expecting that you have to first put your house together before you're out there to address the issues of the national interest.
Exactly. And you see the tussle, the Labour Party, it has been going up and about. And the truth is, does it have to do with the power tussle of who wants to be on the seat, who is the right person, Because they do not seem to be, they're not united as far as I'm concerned. It's just unfortunate to see.
Labour Party is a gathering of, you know, very poor set of people in terms of politics where they just felt this is an opportunity for us, you know, to take advantage of the political arena. Because one may imagine that, I mean, this is just a party barely 1 year to have the popularity.
Exactly.
So one was expecting that probably they will be people-centric, they will understand the rule of law, but they will do things accordingly. But these are the ones violating what the law says, you know, betrayal of their own constitution, and these are the party that wanted to come rule the country. So these are the questions Nigerians are asking. I mean, you
can
have
you really
to go
bring
back
us
to
together
you have
and
to put
this
back
in
the
place?
house together before you are out there to see what you can solve in the country. But I mean, in a way, Peter Obi is actually in a mess in these really, really big issues. And there's still issues of labor, security agencies, and deadlock over Nigeria's rights and harassment. We can't really end this conversation. Of course, we'll be having an expert, a legal practitioner will be joining us on the program to understand what this harassment really means, what this intimidation really looks like. Because if you have allegations, if you found him, you know, guilty of an offense, you have to charge him to court. I mean, take the matter to court. It's not enough for you to be inviting him. It's not enough for you to be harassing him.
Exactly.
It's not enough for you to be, you know, going to the airport, to be besieging and all that.
And it needs to be proven beyond reasonable doubt.
Exactly. Every evidence should be taken to the court.
Exactly.
So that's where we can really say, okay, this is what the court, this is what the law says. You know, our issues of security agencies being in deadlock over one man. I mean, it's also an embarrassing moment for us to be, you know, going after just one man.
Exactly.
For what offense we cannot really know right now.
But really, Michael, let us take a look at it critically. Really, security agents are all on this man. What sort of intimidation is this?
That's the question.
Why? What is the problem? What has he done?
We have many security issues that we expect that our security agencies would have been.
Look at the security issue that happened in Sokoto and Kaduna, for instance, the adoption that happened.
They should go after the Boko Harams. They should go after the people that are the terrorists and all those people that are really disturbing, you know, the peace of this country. If Ajero, you have anything against Ajero, he's a one man. I mean, he's just a single individual. You can take him to court.
But he has the backings of so many individuals.
Because he has the backing of, I mean, he had put
and
all
because
the
he's the
labor
voice, and maybe because he is the voice of the Nigerian man that understands the predicaments of individuals.
Is that the way to go? I mean,
but really, he understands the plight of Nigerians. He understands that the increment of minimum wage is very important in order for us for there to be sustenance as an individual. Look at the cost of transportation. Many people
increased by 50%.
Do you realize that many people cannot afford 3 square meals in a day?
You just have to imagine at the close of work, the great trek involved in the street of Abuja.
Remember you said, I saw it on your status when you said you actually
I have to order for a bicycle because we can't really afford.
I really love that. Cracks me
right now because when you understand that you have to trek. I mean, I'm suggesting that bicycle probably will do some miracle where you can actually cover some miles with that.
But really, Michael, the cost of transportation, a lot of people cannot afford
it.
That's
the question we are saying. Government, you had removed subsidy. Where is the CNG buses? Because we expected that these are the things that would have been on the street to cushion the effects of the hardship. Because in a way, it's really, really difficult. You know, at the moment where there's an increase in petrol, I mean, every sector, there's an increase, is affecting, there's a ripple effect in every sector. You go to the market,
of course.
The prices of tomato
is on the, you know,
you like tomato too much, and that's the reason why I'm bringing that up. So in a way, is a big issue to deal with right now.
But you know what? Like I spoke with Uyi yesterday. I said an individual might just sit back and say, I do not care. This has nothing to do with me. It doesn't concern me in any way. Let the price of fuel go up as high as it wants. But I said something.
I mean, we're in a country where
it's going to affect you in one way or the other.
Because we are really, really depending on fuel.
Yes, we are.
The traders have to import, from one state to the other and all of that.
Exactly, and it's the fuel that.
So I'm seeing how we can do. What my concern is, how can we begin to solve the issues that, I mean, even if there's an increase in petrol price, other sectors will still be normal. Can we get to that point where we can really see that even when there's an increase in these petrol prices,
everything should be stable.
Normal. Transportation can still be normal. Food stuff can still be normal. And how do they handle this? It's about also creating other means of transportation, so that if people are actually bringing their goods from, one locality, Sokoto to Abuja to Lagos, they can do that with ease, not really depending on fuel, where they can be able to transport some of these goods down so that even if there's an increase in petrol, they understand that, I mean, they either is transporting their goods down to some locations.
But you know what, Michael, when you talk about petrol, it's another thing. Let us talk about the roads. Look at the incident that happened over the weekend. The cattle and humans that died in the collision that happened. It's and it was due to what? Bad roads. We have a lot to do. If we're looking at one other thing, another thing keeps creeping up, and that is why individuals, in fact, those in authority have a lot of work to do. And you have to have a good conscience in order to allow things sail through. And I mentioned to Uyi yesterday, I said it's not all about effort. Yes, effort is good. We understand that you have empathy. You feel what we feel. You understand, but action. And Uyi said something again. He said there will be fuel at the course of the weekend. There will be fuel. And I said, at what cost?
It's not even about the availability right now.
It's not the availability. It's the cost. How many people can afford it? Exactly.
Right now, we are having issues of this fuel. But can you buy the fuel?
Can you buy the fuel?
I mean, it's just, fuel is now left for Odogos. I mean, I've bet
Who are the Odogos?
I've bet that in some stations they have to play Dorime for you at the moment
when you buy.
Because it's not a little commodity. It's a very high one right now.
It's really, not. And another story on The Guardian that has me wondering is bandits invade hospital, kidnap nurses, patients kill 7. It has gotten to this point where bandits can just walk in and just go anywhere and just pick, especially health workers. Have you realized lately, first of all, 20 students that were moving from Jos to Benue, and then, of course, the adoption of no other person than Ganiat Popola, and now nurses now. What is this all about? Why is the health sector being targeted? I wonder, and I say to myself, I do not know, but this has gotten beyond hand.
It's a big concern because when you understand the fact that bandits and terrorists, kidnappers are also taking advantage of any sector right now.
Yes, they are.
We've seen people traveling on the road, the kidnappers, have to besiege them. We've seen, terrorists having to go to churches, mosques, and all of that. So, but I mean, look at the issues that we are trying to fight, issues of people, living, health workers migrating from the country. So in a way, a nurse who feel his or her life is protected outside there, how would the person react to this? Where he's actually saving lives of patients, but has become victim of circumstances in the hospitals where he probably never felt that he would be a victim of this issue. So we're saying, can the security agencies begin to do better? Can they also understand that people lives are at stake? Can they understand that we can't really have a stable nation where insecurity is still the problem? Can they understand that hospitals have to be protected, schools have to be protected, our people, our students in the classroom have to be protected, because in a way it also have a big concern and issue for many Nigerians that we are still battling with insecurity in this nation.
Yes, we are.
If we can say hardship, if we can say hunger, if we can say all of these things, can we still battle the issue of insecurity in the country, Jemai, really?
But really, if you look at it critically, Michael, let's look at the health. The health sector is being targeted day in, day out, every time we see. And some of these health workers, I'm sure they are scared for their lives. Like you mentioned, they save lives, and at the same time, their lives are being on the rope line. And it's just unfortunate when you see this sort of incident. We're still battling insecurity. How many years down the line now? It's a major issue, and we need to nip it in the bud as soon as possible. Another story that captured my attention here is still this Okoma community. What's going on again in the Okoma community? The Okoma community individuals have practically run out of that particular community. Some of them are actually homeless as we speak. Some of them are scared. Those individuals in that community are scared to go to that particular community due to what happened. Of course, the killings of those soldiers, the officers and soldiers that happened in Nakoma. It's an unfortunate incident.
You probably understand better that the military probably does not completely forgive. There's a notion.
Who says?
Because the moment where you've actually committed against them, they will have a way of trying to visit you, even if it's after 5 years. So it's also a concern that we were bothered about, the killing, the brutal killing of some of the soldiers.
Yes,
the
and officers.
slaying of these officers. It was a concern because the moment where, what was their mission? I mean, we understand that they went for a peacekeeping. They just went to the communities to see how they can restore peace. But in the midst of that, the officers were killed. So unfortunately, very unfortunately, and they have set up a panel for investigation. But how long would we have, people that were victims or people that were behind these actions brought to book? These are the questions. So it's taking a lot of time.
It is.
So in a way, you're trying to see how that. The family members of these soldiers are still not very happy about it.
They're not.
The soldiers, the army themselves, they're not happy about the issue. So if they are actually having some information that they have to visit back the community, to probably apprehend any of them.
And remember, some of these suspects are still on the run. They've not gotten some of the, just few of them.
So probably the army have gotten an alert that they are back to the community, and that's the reason why they have to visit. But in a way, it's already to become a tension because recall that the governor had said, please come back to the community. We have addressed the issues. We are trying to dialogue with the army. So please come back.
But some of the community members of the community are scared to even go back because they've heard issues of. Of course, we know what happened during the OD.
Because every time they visit,
there's always issues.
you know better. What
you keep saying
means.
I know better.
Yeah, because it looks that. We have to put these, there have to be a proper investigation where they have to bring those behind these people. If they can't find justice, I don't think we'll definitely answer.
I don't think this issue will come to a rest.
Again,
yes, we should. We should. And then, of course, the next paper is the Punch newspaper, giving us some very punchy headlines. And above the nameplate of the Punch, we have fuel landing cost rises, marketers fear high, Dangote petrol price. And it says Enugu, Bayelsa, Akwa Ibom lead as Mpox spreads to 21 states. And that is scary. And below the caption of the headline, Punch, it says Ajaro's arrest saga, DSS succumbs to pressure as NLC plans showdown. And the writer there says Labour leader released ahead of NLC's 12 midnight ultimatum. PDP, LP, others loop home federal government over arrest invasion. And still on the Punch newspaper, it says 4 billion naira illegal arms, lawyers absent stalls suspects arraignment. And it says AGF plans to abolish pardon for convicted looters. And that you see on page 7. Gunmen kill Anambra Bizman after 10 million naira ransom dump corpse in gutter. That is so unfortunate. I saw that on the internet there. And it says telecom services risk disruption as 800 workers begin strike. And you can find that on page 16 of the Punch newspaper. It's just unfortunate why, these individuals, let's look at that. Gunmen kill Anambra businessman after 10 million naira ransom dumps corpse in gutter. Unfortunate incident.
It's getting worse every day.
By the day.
It's getting worse. Because,
by the day.
I know where literally is safe. You go to the southeast, you go to the north. Every part of this country, one way or the other. You can't find terrorism. You find
kidnappers.
Bandits, you cannot find bandits. You can find kidnappers and all of that. So insecurity is really, it's also a big call to the security agencies to see how they can begin to do, because some of these things are local. We understand why we are fighting for, state policing. So we also understand the fact that there is an importance to underscore that some of these issues are happening at the grassroots, at the local level. Information gathering, intelligence gathering is there. Can we begin to find, some government security agencies deploying some equipment that they can detect, some of these happenings, the way they can get to the forest to apprehend, some of these banditries and kidnappers and concern, because in a way, we can't really have an open confrontation, physical confrontation.
Yes,
so
we do.
there's a current way of doing things right now, but we are still backward. I'm concerned about that.
You know what, Michael, I think we've not gotten to that part yet. We've not gotten to that place in this country where we really want to curb.
We can deploy technology.
Where we can deploy. Yes, I think we have a lot of work to do when it comes to that. A lot of people are behind this. Of course, at this point, a lot of people make billions of naira
Absolutely.
in the cause of
the recent statistics about kidnapping.
Exactly.
We've seen a whole lot of people that is becoming a new job for some people.
It is.
It is.
It's a means of wealth.
Ransom.
And it's unfortunate. And the painful part is when these ransoms are being paid, and at the end of the day, the individual held in captivity is being killed. That's the sad part. It's just unfortunate. But I hope the law will do its course and bring these perpetrators to book. And the next newspaper is The Nation. And Michael, over to you.
The Nation newspaper, Edo 2024. INEC accredits 114 media houses for coverage. 4 suspects arrested for attack on APC members. Collaboration key to transparent electoral environment. Igadolos will continue from where I stopped, says Obaseki. You can find that on page 5 of the Nation paper. LP withdraws 2027 automatic ticket for Obi OT on page 4. Ajero released on bail hours after arrest. Why he was arrested from the SS. We also have a bandit abduct nurses, patient in attack on hospital. Niger Times rises to 59,800 critical injured. I mean, that's Niger tanker fire that was caused recently. AGF 6 ends to pardon for corruption convict. Fayemi, we need law review to stop the prerogative of mercy for those jailed for graft. Edun, VAT remains 7.5%. No tax on basic goods and services. Also find Varsities reserves institute release for TSA. APC shifts NEC meeting. That's on page 4. Let's quickly look at issues of VAT. There's been a concern that the government is trying to make a move to increase VAT from 7.5% to 10%.
But those are just mere allegations.
I mean, every allegations in Nigeria has some atom of truth, because at the moment we were saying fuel will not...
Exactly. Now look at where we... Oh, yes, very true.
We can't in any way take any of these things for granted.
We shouldn't.
It's a concern because people are saying businesses are folding up. A lot of businesses are folding
small
up
businesses
right now.
especially.
Businesses are really folding up. So it's a concern. Increasing VAT again for, it in a way will discourage people from patronizing them. And the purchasing power of Nigerians is so low. Right now, people are struggling to, get food. So how about other commodities? How about other goods and services in the country? So it's not a good time because we are again reiterating issues of timing. Over and over again, we've seen that some of these policies are not in anywhere at the right time. People are saying you can't increase fuel at the heat of, inflation, at the heat of increase, dollar at the 1,600, at the space of where people are trying to feed, are trying to survive. So it's not a good time for some of these policies. We understand that many nations built, they built their countries from taxation. But can we really, in a way, be increasing some of these taxes at a very critical time and period like this? So these are the questions. So in a way, government should pay attention to some of their policies, because taking some decision at the very critical period like this in the country is also a whole lot of concern. It's really pushing Nigerians back to more poorer state, because, there's not even middle class now. Is either you are rich or you're poor.
Unfortunate. But true analysts there. And next is the Vanguard newspaper. Above the nameplate of the Vanguard, we have bandits kidnap nurses, patients, others in Kaduna Hospital. And that you can read on page 6. Tinubu orders finance minister to exclude Versity's research institutes from TSA. And that is on page 9. Constitutional amendment, an AGF to block presidential pardon for corrupt leaders. And you can find that also on page 9. And below that nameplate of the Vanguard, Ajero released as outrage trails arrest. It says NLC holds emergency NEC today, and then TUC, PDP, Amnesty International, UAPCS, Harua, MWN, NUEE, others, KIC, were withdrawn our 2023 petition against NLC President Air Peace Airline. DSS action not connected to hunger, not innocent Nigerians. PDP tells Tinubu, direct DSS to end attack against us. Sarab tells President. And below all of that on page 14, it says extortion. Lagos government bans toll collection on streets. This is an issue here.
A big one.
And it's here also in Abuja, not just in Lagos.
We've seen the minister saying that it's illegal.
It's illegal.
When the moment where some of these... the street are also trying to survive.
Streets are also trying to survive.
It's also a concern that the street are also trying to survive. But it shouldn't be that you are trying to, infringe on people's rights.
Exactly.
Because some of the way they go about this issue, if it's just a normal street language where they are telling you, please,
exactly.
Roger.
Saying Roger.
But this way, they will tell you that we are from this force. They will bring out an ID card, intimidate you. Sometimes you want to arrest your vehicle.
You know what I'm laughing?
The arise of Akporo is also a concern. That's the right words to can actually tag them. So for Lagos, they are trying to ban that. We've also seen that FCT are saying that some of these actions is illegal.
It is illegal. You know what
happened? Not enough.
But it's not enough. Right
you
here.
have to provide. You have to engage them because these are the ones that are, probably doing that to survive.
Exactly. Will I tag him?
The multifaceted issues.
Will I actually tag him an Agbero? I don't think I would tag him that. But we were going out. He actually got a long rope and put it at the gate in the plaza. And he says we have to pay him some money. I was like, are you kidding me right now? That tell him I'm from press and I'm going to record what you're doing. And then at the end of it all, he said, Madam, you know that we must survive. Don't be angry. I was like, are you kidding me?
Exactly.
But it's just unfortunate that these individuals need to be engaged when it comes to all of this, because criminality is real. Broad day criminality is out there. And that is what is actually looming as quickly as...
Theirs is even better that they are doing that in the broad daylight. How about people that are, having to do this in the night? People who are having to attack houses, to steal... People who actually have to be engaged in car theft. We've seen in FCT.
Yes, exactly.
I was just sharing with a colleague. Someone just went to withdraw from the ATM machines, and then unfortunately, our car was taken away at the spot of coming out from the car to withdraw. So it has gotten that bad where we can't really assure of any safety right now. So it's also aware of the hardship and the hunger in the land. Because the moment we cannot address this issue, it will get worse to the point that people's lives are no more safe. And we don't want to get to that point.
No, we don't.
We do not want to get to that point. So there's a need for government to start engaging that. But let's quickly react to the constitutional amendment, AGF to block presidential pardon for corrupt leaders.
Exactly.
We've seen that people have amnesty. Would I say people have some privileges in the country is attached to what it said. Immunity. As a governor, we can't. Even the corruption agencies cannot in any way find you indicted for any offense, but
especially corruption issues.
Corruption issues. So we're trying to see how we can actually get some of these things addressed. Because when you look at the statistics of how much are people pushing out of this country, you'll be sad because we felt, fine, you're making this out of the office. Can you please reinvest it in the country that you are getting this money out of? What's the need of taking the money out there to invest in other people's economy?
Well, you can invest here and make lives better for individuals.
So, either way that they try to see how they can begin to tackle this issue, because either way is getting out of hand. It's also a concern that government and institutions of government must start paying attention to issues of corruption. Last administration, that was part of the agenda, but unfortunately, it get worse at the end of the administration.
It did.
We didn't really find some of these issues well addressed.
But you know what, Michael? We have to quickly go on the AM news. But let's just quickly address one quick issue here on the Vanguard. And then we'll if there is time, we'll continue with the newspaper part 2 of the newspaper review immediately after the AM news. But I want to look at bandits kidnap nurses, patients, others in Kaduna Hospital. Now, if individuals are sick, they will be scared to go to the hospital because the bandits might just creep in
There's
anytime.
nowhere that's safe.
Nowhere is safe
Church,
at all.
mosques, hospitals, schools, there is no hiding place right now. So even at home, some people are being kidnapped.
At home, yes, very
So
true.
Where is the safety? I mean, we only leave it to Allah and God, to be able to always save and guide us at all times.
Exactly. And of course, security agents must be at their A game. It's very important. All right, now we have to take a break from the newspaper review, but we will be back, part 2, to quickly sum up all the newspapers. We'll definitely go through them again with you in the part 2 of the newspaper review. But up next is the AM News. Stay tuned. Do not go anywhere. It's Global Morning.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
The Global Morning Team.
Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global Television. Coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Jumai Manson. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free-to-air Nicomsat. Now the news in full. The Department of State Services, DSS, arrested the president of Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, Joe Ajaero, yesterday. Head of Information of the Congress, Benson Upa, confirmed that Joe Ajaero was arrested at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja on his way to United Kingdom. Official assignments where he was scheduled to attend the Trade Union Congress conference in London. Moving on now on the news, officers from the Department of State Services have taken control of the Abuja office of the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SURAP. SURAP described the action as an unlawful occupation. This was contained in a statement released by SURAP on its X handle. SURAP said the officers are demanding to meet with the organization's directors. It called on President Bola Tinubu to intervene. The embattled national chairman of the Labour Party, Julius Abure, has said the party's presidential ticket for 2027 election is no longer reserved for its former candidate, Peter Obi. Speaking during a press briefing after the party's National Executive Committee meeting in Abuja, Abure said the 2027 presidential ticket is now open to all members. He said NEC in session also reviewed the decision of the National Convention to reserve its presidential and governorship ticket for Peter Gregory Obi and Alex Oti, respectively. Consecutively, all party tickets from the presidency to the House of Assembly are open for all qualified Nigerians. The federal government has set up a committee to resolve grey areas raised by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, in its ultimatum issued close to 3 weeks ago. The Vice President of the Association, Professor Chris Pawuna, says the committee will meet on September 11, 2024. Senator Saliu Mustafa, representing Kwara Central Senatorial District, has launched an annual university scholarship program committing over 200 million naira to support 200 indigent students throughout their undergraduate studies. The initiative aims to alleviate the financial burden on families, allowing bright but underprivileged students to pursue higher education without undue stress. Speaking at the unveiling of the scheme in Ilorin, Professor Binta Selman, chairperson of the Kwara Central Educational Ad Hoc Advisory Committee, said the selected students would attend one of 5 Kwara-based private institutions. Over now to Oyo State Rural Water Supply and Sanitation Agency has donated motorcycles, public address systems, and sanitary items to 10 local government areas to address the menace of open defecation in the respective council areas and the state in general. The chairman of the agency, Babaloya Afumbaje, while speaking during the presentation of the item, said it was part of the activities lined up to mark its 100 days in office. He said the presentation of the items was aimed at ensuring a complete end to open defecation in the council as well as communities across the state. Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar has approved the posting and redeployment of some senior officers, including branch chiefs, air officers, commanding directors, and commanders. A statement by the Nigerian Air Force Deputy Director of Public Relations and Information, Group Captain Kabiru Ali, says the move aimed at improving operational flexibility and introducing fresh ideas across various aspects of the service. Corps members have been advised to acquire new skills through the National Youth Service Corps NYSC Skill Acquisition and Entrepreneurship Development Program in order to enable them create jobs of their own. Director General of the Corps, Brigadier General Y.D. Ahmed, stated this while addressing Corps members in Gobe State Orientation Camp, Amanda and Taraba State Orientation Camp in Sabere. He said many ex-Corps members who utilize the opportunities of the service year to learn new skills are now employers of labor in different locations across the country. The Northeast Development Commission, NEDC, has announced plans to support the victims of flood with palliatives in the Northeast sub-region. The The managing director of the commission, Mohammed Al-Khali, stated this while inspecting roads destroyed by flood in Yobe State, insisting that the commission would assist the flood victims with food, healthcare services, and other domestic items. Al-Khali noted that the commission has already put a comprehensive framework to select beneficiaries from the 18 senatorial districts in 6 states of the region. The federal government has ordered an immediate investigation into the recent collapse of 2-story buildings in Norman Island Quarters, Fege local government area of Kano State. The collapse, which occurred on Thursday last week, has left 2 people dead and 2 others hospitalized, according to a report by the National Emergency Management Agency. In a statement issued by Director of Information and Public Relations, Salisu Habi, the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Dagawa, expressed deep concern over the incident and directed that full-scale investigation be conducted to determine the cause of the collapse. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control says it had sealed a table water factory, Clobald Water Table Water in Delta State, for allegedly aiding and abating the production, sale, and advertisement of unregistered and unwholesome miracle water under the pretext of fake NAFDAC registration number. NAFDAC stated that the sealed factory was producing and churning out the miracle water in cohort with a faith-based organization, Christ Mercy Land Delivery Ministry, led by Prophet Jeremiah Omoto. Meanwhile, the senior prophet of Christ Mercy Land Deliverance Ministry, Abuja, Jeremiah Fufuyi, has denied allegations, suggesting that his ministry has been using the name of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control to mislead the public. Regarding spiritual items, in a statement issued by its media arm and signed by Sophia Lloyd, the church described the allegation as false and misleading. Ogun State Environmental Protection Agency has sealed 5 industries for environmental infractions. Chairman of Ogun State Task Force on Environmental Compliance and Enforcement, who doubles as a senior special assistant to the governor on environment, Farouk Akintunde, while leading the enforcement team to seal the company, said they were shut down after the agency received petitions from the immediate communities of their insistent discharge of untreated wastewater into the environment. You're watching AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. With AM News return, Wike signs MOU with Chinese engineering firms for electricity and water projects in FCT. Details of these and more after this break. Please stay with us. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Global Television bringing you live broadcasts of AM News. Thank you for staying with us. Bandits have abducted nurses at a primary healthcare center at Labiendan Outer Village in Kayalo Ward, Beningwari area of Kaduna State. The bandits had reportedly targeted a primary school in Kayalo, located on the outskirts of the town. However, when they could not find pupils to abduct, they reportedly moved to the nearby hospital where they abducted the nurses on duty. On our business decks now, oil marketers may begin the importation of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, following the recent declaration by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited that it would only fully offtake the product from the Dangote Petroleum Refinery if the market prices of the commodity were higher than the pump price in Nigeria. NNPC also declared that Dangote and other domestic refineries were free to sell directly to any marketers on a willing buyer, willing seller basis, adding that it had no desire or intention to become the distributor of any entity in a free market environment. This is, however, contrary to what the president of Dangote Group, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, stated last week. The owner of $20 billion refinery had stated that the refinery was waiting for NNPC, adding that the National Oil Company would be the only taker of its petrol domestically. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of Economy, Wale Adun, has refuted reports suggesting an increase in the value-added tax rate from 7.5% to 10%. In a statement signed by him, Edun clarified that the VAT rate remains unchanged at 7.5% as stipulated in the nation's tax laws. He further explained the importance of maintaining a balanced tax system, emphasizing that Nigeria's tax framework is built on three key pillars: tax policy, tax laws, and tax administration. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, has formalized an agreement with two Chinese engineering construction companies to enhance electricity and water supply within the territory. This was revealed through a Memorandum of Understanding MOU signed between the FCT and the companies. A statement by Anthony Ogunleye, Director of Press in the Office of the Minister, says the Memorandum of Understanding was finalized in Beijing, China. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has called for fair trade order during a visit to China aimed at boosting ties with economic giants despite a standoff between Beijing and the European Union. Sanchez met local counterparts Premier Li Qiang at Beijing's Ornette Great Hall of the People on Monday afternoon, telling him Spain wishes to continue strengthening its relationship with China. Sanchez's trip would not also take him to Shanghai on Tuesday and Wednesday, where he will meet local officials and businesses as well as integrate a new Converters Institute Cultural Center. On our foreign scene now, a plane with 48 people aboard skidded off the runway in Indonesia, remote eastern region of Papua, police said, injuring several passengers. The ATR-42 aircraft belonging to Targana Air was taken off from an airport in the remote Yapan Island regency to Papuan capital, Jayapura, on Monday morning when it skidded off the runway. The flight was carrying 42 passengers, including a baby and 6 crew. At least 14 people have been killed in Israel airstrike as a number of military sites in central Syria. Sana cited a hospital director as saying that another 43 people were wounded in the attack in the vicinity of the Minsk Yaf in Haman province. A UK-based monitoring group earlier reported that at least 4 soldiers and 3 civilians were killed in strikes that destroyed military and scientific facilities where Iran-backed armed groups were present. Edmundo Utrera fled for exile in Spain Sunday and vowed to continue the fight for freedom and democracy. Utrera arrived in Madrid after weeks in hiding in the crisis-torn South American country. The opposition says it can prove he won the July 28 election in which Maduro claimed a victory that has been widely disputed. Shortly after touching down from the military plane, the 75-year-old press teams distributed an audio message in which he said he was confident that soon he will continue the fight to achieve freedom and the recovery of democracy in Venezuela. In sports now, Team Nigeria's 7-medal haul at the Press 2024 Paralympics, which ended on Sunday, marks the country's worst outing at the summer event. Nigeria finished the tournament with 2 gold, 3 silver and 2 bronze medals to finish in 40th position. Nigeria's Folashade Oluwafunmilayo broke her world record in the women's over 86 kg powerlifting, becoming the first Paralympic in history to lift 166 kg and winning a gold medal in the process. It was an incredible performance for Oluwafunmilayo, who took Nigeria's tally at the Paralympics to 7 medals overall. Fast-rising Nigerian player Pretty Lucky was named the player of the match as Nigeria's under-17 female cricket team beat their Ghanaian counterparts by 178 runs in the first game of their series at Unilag Cricket Oval. Nigeria won the toss and elected a bat first, racing to 212 runs for the loss of 6 wickets in 20 overs. Ghana's task of beating Nigerian total in the second running was shifted by the incredible bowling of Procure Agboye and Peace Hussein, who got 3 wickets each, limiting the Ghanaians to just 34 runs out of 8.5 overs. Now, as we end the AM News, let's take a quick look at our top stories again. Federal government has ordered probe for Kano building collapse. Department of State Services has taken Nigerian Labour Congress president into custody yesterday and has been released. In business, federal government and Chinese firm have signed memorandum of understanding on power and water supply. On our foreign scene, several passengers have been injured as plane skids off runway in Indonesia. And finally, in sports, Danjuma has expressed pleasure as Falcon has achieved under 20 World Cup milestone. And that's it on AM News, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Remember, we are on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276 and free to air. Kindly follow us on all social media platforms by using a Global TV NG and the handles now showing on your screen. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. Good morning.
Business Point on Global Television. The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns and victories. Talk Sports with the King of Sports, Anthony Momodou. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodou.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
The Global Morning team.
Many thanks for staying with us on the program. A whole lot of issues and concerning what we had earlier on the papers, but we'll quickly have to go back to the papers and understand what NLC are saying. I just got a call with the NLC spokesperson, Benson Opa, who has confirmed to us that indeed he was released yesterday after his arrest with the DSS. Of course, he will be here shortly later on the program to give us perspective to the issues concerning the allegations, because they are saying is unconnected to the police invitation. So it means that this is another information they've gathered against the NLC president. A lot concerning the intimidation of institutions here in the country, where SERAP are still kicking against the federal government, saying we can't continue this way. The issues of besieging their office just yesterday on the heels that they are asking and demanding that they released, they reduced the price of petrol, and the concern, the fact that is an intimidation on the part to arrest the NRC president. But we just have to get to what the This Day newspaper really have for us. This Day newspaper, Ajero arrested and released, CSOs condemn action. Right after the story says, Tinubu setting new record of impunity, say Amnesty International. Serap alleges invasion of its premises by security agencies. NUPRC set up alternative dispute resolution body, says 200 billion naira attracted for host communities development. Rather to the stories, tabs Falana ushers 25 others as ADRC members. We also have NNPC, Chevron, JV convert asset into PIA terms and target 165,000 barrels per year. We also have a concern on Edopo, INEC chair arrives Benin for mock accreditation security meeting. I found out on page 10. LP crisis, Peter Obi, OT, writes INEC for validation of recent stakeholders meeting. That's a big concern and stories coming from these days. Do you mind the concern of issues of INEC? I also understand that there's a need for them to build back the confidence of Nigerians ahead of election of Inedo, Ondo, and the next election to come, because it looks that some Nigerians are still not very satisfied about the outcome of Nigeria's election. To them, it's not transparent enough. To them, the right process have not been duly followed. So, concern, and again, looking at it's a big tax for INEC. Do you feel that the shoes from your end is so big for INEC to really cover?
I think it is, but I think they have a lot of work to do, because a lot of Nigerians have actually lost that confidence, and you keep wondering. Some will tell you, if you look at it, let's look away from the governorship election, the presidential election.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then you hear people make comments like, "My vote does not even count," because they already know who's going to be on the seat. Issues like that. You hear some comments, and a lot of people will tell you it's what they do. They already know who it is. So INEC has a lot of role to play to prove that there is transparency when it comes to all of these. Let's look at the BWAS machines, for instance. Are they functional? Is it true to tell when we count all of these votes? Is it really true? And we hear of cases how individuals have been captured in all of these misconduct when it comes to accumulation of results and all of that. So you wonder and you say to yourself, what is going on really? Do we have individuals in INEC who are represented, who are doing the needful when it comes to law and order and showing there's transparency and accountability when it comes to these votes, when it comes to the presidency, the presidential election, when it comes to the governorship, the gubernatorial election? All of these things come into play. So INEC really has a lot to do, a lot of work to do. I think we've not gotten to that. We've not gotten there.
We've not gotten
there yet. And of course, people in diaspora are saying they want to be part and parcel of votes that takes place in Nigeria, because they are Nigerians, because we are abroad.
Calling for electronic voting.
Exactly. And you know that in outside the shores of Nigeria, there are individuals that actually practice this electronic voting, and it counts.
Because they're also Nigerians, irrespective of where they are.
Exactly. So I think we have a lot to do when it comes to this, but it shouldn't be the everyday norm. I think we should try as much as possible. But like I said, we haven't gotten to there. We do not have these gadgets to actually just look at the BWAS, for instance, giving us problems up and down, and we have a lot to do. For me, I think INEC has a lot of convincing to do when it comes to transparency, accountability, but let's not devote their efforts, and just know that, in all, efforts count, but action for me is very important.
For me, it's a very big concern, because INEC, they are the ones responsible for who becomes the president of this country.
Or the governor.
So it means that there are problems. Part of a problem, can be shared to INEC. So because when you look at, they have many responsibility. They're responsible for voter education. They are responsible for conducting election. They are responsible for political party affairs and their leadership and concern and all of that. So I mean, with other responsibilities that really the
And let's not
Constitution
forget the
really,
local government.
and the local government. So they have so many responsibilities. So we are much concerned about how they are able to play some of this role prior to election. What is their level of engagement of voters in terms of voters' education? People have registered for PVCs, and then they've gotten their PVCs. Should we say that we are having a proper accreditation and voting process at the polling unit? Because this is where the problem starts from. It's not just about when they're announcing the result. What is happening at the polling unit? These are the questions we must know. What is the level of transparency that upon moving from polling units, to collation centers and all of these groups, we can really track our result? So we are saying, there was a guideline that they introduced that, directly votes from polling unit will directly be sent to their savers, the IREV and all of that, so as to get more confidence of Nigerians. But we've seen that it failed at the last election.
Yes, it has.
So we want a situation where at the point of collating all the result, people can really track that from polling units, they got the result that was,
exactly, that was accounted
was
for.
produced for at the poll.
And then to add, I think INEC should do things differently now. Something different that will actually wow you and I to see that, okay, they are on track. They're trying to build back our confidence as Nigerians.
It's a big
so
concern.
that when this individual is elected as either president or governor, we know that this was the right accumulation and this was the right data that was stated. There was nothing like someone grumbling here, someone grumbling there. Do something differently. That is why I am in support of the electronic voting. It's very important that INEC should look into it so that other Nigerians in diaspora should have a chance to actually place their rights, because it's a fundamental human right. Really.
It's a big role, and then we are expecting that our upcoming election, September 21st in Edo, will be different, where people and Nigerians and the people of Edo can really go in, vote, and have the confidence of the fact that whatever they had voted will be the result at the end of the day. We are putting our eyes very closely to understand what is really happening. Also a call for the political actors as well, where you make the work difficult for INEC. So issues of vote buying, issues of intimidations, issues of shooting, because we already, Anthony Mamadou reporting from Edo,
yes,
has given us some clips and reports about the fact that, when the APC candidate was busy campaigning, at the environs of that campaign rally, shooting of guns, intimidations and all of that.
Yes.
So, where security agencies have to also be top of their game.
Alert.
Because they have to protect the voters. People should have confidence in going out to vote, because if this is just a campaign season that, we are having this level of insecurity, shooting, intimidation about the election day. So you are indirectly telling people not to come out on the election day to vote. So this is what we are trying to avoid.
Yeah.
Because the moment we are discouraging one person, you recall that every other people will be discouraged, because at the family level, the parents will say, oh, do not go out to vote and all of that. So it's a way that security agencies must be up to their game.
Exactly. And for individuals, these gunshots that were fired, it's just a way of telling the voters that do not come out, that this is just a tip of the iceberg, just to create fear and tension in that state.
It's not what.
But that is the Nigeria in which we found ourselves now. That's where we are. But we pray that things will get better. Security agents will be up on their games when it comes to protecting lives and property, which is very important. So hopefully, come forth the election, everything is going to be fine and everything will be checked and balanced at the same time.
All right, issues are concerning Algeria arrest, said and release. CSOs condemn action. Tinubu setting new record of impunity, as says Amnesty International, and said about alleged invasion of its premises by security agencies. Again and again, issues of the NOC president arrest. People are really putting eyes that, this is already happening under the regime of President Tinubu, that is probably trying to set a new record of impunity. In a way, whatever, when you are the president, when you are the head, you take all the blames.
You take all the blows.
And the blows as
You're
well.
a leader.
So
lead by example.
As a leader, it also be that you also have to call the security agencies to order. Understand that the DSS is really under the presidency. So whatever they do, probably the president is aware. So people don't want to see the president because this is democracy. People should be able to freely
Voice
have
out.
their voice and then
Be
speak
heard.
and not be intimidated. So
Exactly.
Serap and CSOs have condemned
But
that action.
I just want to say something. I think you should read in between the lines, because I know you're a political analyst when it comes to issues like that. But do you think there's no smoke without fire? So what is all of this tussle with this arrest back and forth with George Jaro? Is it just to hold him down concerning? Is it that the minimum wage is causing issues, or is it that his voice is overheard?
You can track it to
or
NBAD
really
governance.
the financing of this terror? Is it
NBAD governance protests have also been concerned.
Exactly.
LOC came out to support. They didn't go out on the protest. But they only said, if people want to protest, if Nigerians feel the hunger and the hardship is too much in the country, allow them to go and
But
protest.
let it be peaceful.
But let it be peaceful. So they had only gave a verbal support. But we are saying, from what we are gathering, that they are saying that indirectly they had a way of sponsoring some of these protests, that they are also financing terrorism in the country.
Exactly.
But we are concerned that NOC is a big body, and you going after Ajero is not just going after Ajero, you are going after the whole Nigerian Labour Congress. So why can't we begin to separate this issue? If we feel that Ajero as a person, as committed against our laws, go to court. That's the more. I think that's the better way to address these issues, because
I think so too.
you can't just start witch hunting someone, going after someone.
Oh, you feel it's witch hunting now?
In a way, somebody waiting for you at the airports where you want to make an international travel.
Because we do not want him to go.
Without invitation. So you're trying to stop the president from going out to speak what the minds of Nigerians. So in a way, it's not a good sign. And
no,
president,
it's not.
This is why people are saying the president, because he's a head, he's a father.
Yes, he is.
understand better, so he should be able to. He's a Democrat. The president once said, we are aware in 2012. He was there at the protest ground.
Yes, he
so
said.
you have been part and parcel of.
He knows what it
democracy.
takes.
You know what it takes. That people have to criticize you as a leader. Sometimes you're doing the right thing, but people are still criticizing you because it's democracy. Everybody have what to say.
Right. Yes.
But I understand that where your own right stops,
another one.
and someone's own, continues from that. But in a way, a concern that the president have to really have to see how he can address this issue. But a legal practitioner will be joining us very shortly to give us more understanding on that issue. Let's quickly also get to to concern issues of NNPC. 165,000 barrels per day by year end. We're looking at a refinery. Issues of a refinery again has also been a concern. We can't in any way ask that. If Nigerians are saying, please reduce the petrol price, it's also in a way of understanding what our refineries have to be fixed.
Yes, they
Dangote
do.
refinery is not enough. We can't rely on Dangote refinery. So it's also a concern that it should fix the Port Harcourt refinery, the Warri refinery, Kaduna refinery. All of these refineries should be put to work so that Nigerians can begin to buy fuel at a reasonable price. Because, Juma, we can't explain how we are buying fuel at 1,000 naira. We can't explain the fate of Nigerians, in months to come. We can't even explain what it looks like, that the current insecurity we are facing today is just minimal. We may have increase of these issues because a lot of people who probably were just a little bit adjusting to the reality of the 618 naira per litre will have no other option to survive again at 1,000 naira. So it's a concern because it has an effect. It has an effect.
And a
palliative
negative
government
one.
is not enough.
No.
The
it's not enough.
570 billion to state governors saying we have not received. So who is deceiving who? These are the questions Nigerians are asking. What are they cushioning? What are the means that you have to cushion this effect on Nigerians? What are the steps you've taken? There's no proper implementation of whatever programs government have, because we've seen that government are doling out some of the funds, allocations, sharing grants to state governors and all of this. But these are the plans that Nigerians are saying is not working for us.
No, it's not.
And the president is saying, I'm taking Nigeria to a better time. Come with me. Exercise patience with me. We are going to the better days. But at what cost?
And at what cost?
Should
People
we
are
continue to
tired.
sacrifice the hunger, the
People are
hardship of
tired.
Nigerians on the grounds of this? So
People are tired.
the questions are too much for the president. So I feel there's a need to reconsider some of the policies he's taking,
it's
because
very
it's
important.
really, really biting hard
it
on
is.
Nigerians.
It is. And with that, we've come to the end of the newspaper review. That was the last paper. And, of course, that was this day newspaper. And we have come to the end of the newspaper reviews. Stick around. It's Global Morning. Do not go anywhere. The program continues shortly.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
The Global Morning Team.
Business Point on Global Television. The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Beautiful work from the wingers!
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Get in on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
The Global Morning Team.
Many thanks for staying with us on our morning show. A concern right now on the economic hardship in the country. A whole lot of pressure on the president to rather move against the NMPC this time to review the increase of the petrol price. But a concern that it looks at NMPC are saying we are not in control of the market force and we can't really determine how far we can go in the respect to the price of petrol. I'll be joined this morning from Lagos by an energy expert, Wisdom. Dr. Wisdom will be joining us from Lagos to give us an understanding about the all of concern, NNPC, the pressure on the president to revert the petrol price, and also understanding the economic reality on ground against Nigerians. Doctor will be joining us very shortly, virtually. Juma, there are a whole lot of pressure right now on the president. So many Nigerians are saying, Mr. President, we are not taking it very lightly this time. There's a need to reduce the price. There's a need to review the price. There's a need to fight the corruption in the NNPC. We can't in any way be suffering for what we do not have an idea about.
Exactly. A lot of people have, like you've mentioned, a lot of people are going through a lot when it comes to the economic hardship and, of course, the hike in petrol price. And let's not forget, remember the words of Dangote. He says the cabal. That means there is a cabal that is actually fighting the way forward when it comes to the petrol being in the rampant in Nigeria. And it is affecting a lot when it comes to cost, when it comes to the high cost of living, when it comes to electricity, when it comes to transportation, when it comes to a lot of things encompassed. It's just unfortunate. And individuals are tired. It's not all about the supply being everywhere, but at what cost? The amount is high. Imagine someone buying petrol at the rate of 1,200, 1,400 in some places. I bought almost 900 plus when it comes to procurement of this particular commodity. It's really unfortunate, really.
It's a very big one and a concern, because when you understand the implications of all of these hardship, looking at food, looking at accommodation. I mean, I was just speaking with someone who understands the landlords, the laws, the land laws, and the occupancies and all of that. He's saying why the landlord is increasing the rent is because he's also going to the same market with the tenants. He's also paying school fees and all of that.
Exactly.
So I was asking him literally, are you repairing? Are you having renovation every day, every year? That if you're having an increase today, it's affecting accommodations and all of that. Why do you have to increase? Where we understand that probably you bought cement for your house as of when cement was there and all of that prices. Why is it? Because there's an increase in the petrol, you are also increasing your rent. So that's we are buying things from the same market. So the reality and the concern is that it's affecting everyone.
Every single thing.
And every single thing, literally. Because we can't in any way, complete this conversation when we fail to understand that we are solely depending. We are majorly, our economy is depending on fuel.
Yes,
and it's really a problem because we can't rely on one thing right now.
No, we cannot.
There's a need to improvise, issues of CNG buses.
You've mentioned.
There's a need to, bring in innovations that we can rely on cooking with others. Issues of having to rely completely on petrol is where we are really finding it very hard to survive. Because in other countries where petrol is at 1,500, they are not relying on that. They can really have other things to really hold on to. So it's a problem. Doctor, good morning and thanks so much for joining us on the program. We want to understand better the concern of the landing costs for, when you understand that NNPC are saying we are not in control of the market force. So we are trying to establish why we have to buy fuel at 1,000. In some stations 1,900 and some 895 naira. You can give us a proper understanding about the landing cost. What is the implications of this, and what is really obtainable in other countries, neighboring countries, or in other countries in the world? All right, we'll try as much as possible to get Doctor connected to us to give us that concern. Very shortly. Because when you look at the issues of the landing cost, when people are saying what people are buying outside the country at 1,000, we want to convert it to an naira, is over 1,500. A concern about why we have to really pay more to buy, because in our neighboring countries, in other countries, that is what is obtainable.
Very true.
So there are also a concern of people smuggling out the product. If we have to sell at 618 that we were, some people were taking advantage of that situation to smuggle out the product to some other countries to sell it at 1,500, to make profit. So again and again, should we rather be, should we rather blame the irresponsibility of the security agencies who are meant to, secure the borders of Nigeria from products, being smuggled out? Should Nigerians rather be, those to all responsible for that? Because we feel that our borders should be protected by, our security agencies.
Exactly.
So that, they can secure, goods, coming in from the country or going out of the country, so as Nigerians don't have to be a victim of that.
Yes, it's very important that our security agents must be up on their game when it comes to issues like this. Smuggling, it's uncalled for. You mean, we are finding it hard to even purchase this product.
We don't even have the sufficient
We don't
products.
have sufficient products, and individuals are buying that really high cost, and then some individuals, greedy individuals, are smuggling these products out of our country to increase for a higher increment outside the shores of Nigeria. It is unfortunate. It means that security agencies must be up on their games when it comes to issues like the smuggling. It's a serious offense, and it is so wrong in all culture and all nature. So it's very important that our security agents need to work hard to secure our borders. Our borders, really, they're porous for this sort of act to happen. It is unfortunate. When you look at it critically, Michael, it shows that there's just like a lackadaisical attitude when it comes to issues like this. And that is why we are where we are today as a country. And that is why individuals are going through a lot when it comes to this particular hardship. And you mentioned something very interesting in the morning. You said, is it possible for petrol, let it be on the road, let it affect this particular sector, but does it affect every other thing? When it comes to feeding, when it comes to electricity,
Even
when
health.
it comes to health, when it comes to, can we just bypass and just allow it focus on where it is
So if the
and
product,
not
if this other
spread?
product is costly, we know that this is the most
We are
expensive
dealing
product.
with this.
We can't deal with other issues.
But the thing is that they are all intertwined. There is no way we have issues in the petroleum sector, and we will not have when it comes to health,
It's a big problem.
when it comes to
we can't rely,
electricity,
we can't rely on that.
when it comes to purchase of commodity, when it comes to better source of livelihood. It affects every sector of life, and it is unfortunate. And that is why when an individual comes up and says, I don't have a car. No, it's not about your car. It's all about when you went to the last time you went to the market and you bought meat at the rate of, then a kilo of meat, the purchase was 3,000, from 3,000. Now it's 5,500.
People are buying at 7,000.
Okay, people are buying
at 6,500.
exactly. So you see that increment that you see, the 2,000 naira on what you've bought,
because
or
of the
5,000,
increase.
was because of what is happening when it comes to fuel. Why?
Absolutely.
Because the transportation to carry these the cows from the north to where you are now affect, and of course these individuals are businessmen. They cannot be on the loss because we want to bring down the price, and that was why.
So the move to regulate prices is also not possible because
no, it is
we are
not
buying for them.
No, it is not.
We are not regulating the prices.
No, it
for
is
them.
not.
We are not transporting those goods for them. So that's the concern we have. Can we find some means of government presence in some of these? Between these lines, so that if a trader can understand that government probably had subsidized the train, for how to move a good from Kaduna, maybe to Lagos or from this other part of the country down there. So you know that you're only, the landing cost, and the landing cost is not increased. You are having to buy what you've been buying for many months ago, the same you are still paying, so as to sell at the same price. But I understand that some people are still taking advantage of the situation.
But exactly.
We can't in any way.
We can't take it away from them.
We can't take it away. So people are taking advantage of the
But
situation.
this...
because everybody is saying dollar. Is your commodity so...
in dollars.
Your commodity $1, you're saying there's a dollar increase. Some people that are even having to, probably have some of their goods nearby, they'll still tells you fuel, compared to the people that probably had to move from interstate down to another location. So Nigerians are still happening to other Nigerians as well.
Exactly, and it's just unfortunate that some people are even making this situation and taking advantage of the situation. Other individuals are actually holding their products, something they bought at a lesser amount, they're selling at the same rate in a higher amount for individuals. It's just unfortunate, really. And talking about regulatory prices, when you have no business with the wholesaler. The wholesaler has nothing to do with it. Look at the manufacturer and look at the government, who needs to, like you said, come down when it comes to like the fuel increment. Now, we have to start from there. It is a chain. It is a pattern. It has to start with the purchase, how the goods is being brought into the particular market space, it's very important you understand that the cost of transportation, the fuel at that point needs to be regulated first before you talk about regulations when it comes to price. Really, very important.
In as much as we want that to be regulated, there's also a call that there must be a presence of government in some of these within those lines, so as to really have a voice to, because we can't really make a market open. I mean, we've seen that. Some persons are just unnecessarily making an increase on some of these products. So there's a need to really have the presence of government. You can't just go after the people selling, but you should be involved on how they imported some of these goods.
Exactly.
We saw that government had said we have removed stamp duty.
Exactly. Which is a plus, which is good.
On the imported goods, which was a good move. But at the landing cost, are we still buying it? The bag of rice that was to be sold at 40,000, they are now saying we should have NIN. Some level of accreditation before you can begin to sell. Before you can buy at a 40,000 naira. Of course, our producer Joseph have alerted us that Dr. Wisdom is here. Good morning, Doctor. Thanks so much for joining us on the program.
Good morning. Thank you very much. And good
Thank you.
morning to your guests.
We just wanted you to establish the reality on ground. We are having the petrol increase, and it looks that it has affected our economy. People are groaning, people are concerned about the hardship, and there is a whole lot of pressure on the president. But we are afraid because from one end, NNPC are saying we are not in control of the market force. So give us an understanding about that statement. Does it look that we may buy fuel at more than 1,000 naira that we are already buying today from that single statement?
Thank you very much. I think there are a number of body signals that is being sent out by the NPC. And these body signals are, again, very difficult to piece together. Because on one hand, we are having, let me establish something. NPC gives us a guide price of what the retail price would be. But as currently the sole importer of PMS, that guide price is actually the governing price for the commodity in the market. Now, when NNPC is saying that they are not, again, in control of the market, that means they're saying that the guide price is just a guide and anyone can sell whatever. But the truth is, if you sell above a certain amount and the supply below that price margin, then you wouldn't get any buyer. Nobody will come to your filling station to buy. So now, what we can expect in future is this. Depending on how the NNPC Dangote deal pans out, and we start having that rollout, we don't know if eventually the Dangote will be allowed to sell at whatever price they're selling, or we're going to have a hybrid situation where the NNPC offtakes at a price from the Dangote refinery and probably now applies subsidy at that price and then sells to Nigerians. And then Dangote refinery is allowed to sell at their own price, chosen price to whoever wants to offtake. But the problem is whoever is offtaking, if they do not apply.
We're trying to get you back. If you are still with us, your reaction very clearly looks that we can't really have a clear statement on NNPC if it looks that the prices may be increased. But let's look at Dangote refinery. I mean, there was a statement on the other end that they are waiting for NNPC to determine how much they are to sell. Nigerians are concerned. If we are saying that you are not in control of the market force, why do we have to rely on you to make a statement on how much Dangote is to sell to the distributors?
No, I think let's put things together first. Dangote said that they're waiting for NNPC directors to cross their T's and dot their I's to be able to do the offtake of the commodity, which they promised could go around in 48 hours. We haven't heard anything about that deal. And then some people approached the Dangote refinery to say, look, what is the pricing of your petrol? And the Dangote said, well, this is a heavily regulated product, and we will not talk about pricing. What I think they meant to say is that they have an exclusivity deal with the NNPC, and so they cannot talk about pricing to other people based on that exclusivity deal. But you're asking me what does that mean in terms of pricing? I do not know, because they haven't mentioned what the NNPC is going to be selling the domestic refined product. What we know, they've reviewed the price to 855, for the least one. And we do not know whether that means that they've applied subsidy, whether that is for the inventories that are going to be off-taken from the Dangote refinery, or whether we are expecting another price review. The reason is this. The last we heard from the presidency is that the spokesman said that from October, the government is looking at probably getting the Dangote refinery and any other refinery to set their own prices and sell to whoever they want to sell. So we might just be having another price increase in that effect, and we might be getting up to 1,000 naira if that pans out in October.
All right, well, it's a whole lot of, sector issue. And what a common Nigerian is asking is, can we survive this? That's the question they're asking, because my colleague Jumai we're just establishing why we are having to buy fuel at this increase. And then it's affecting other sector. We go to the market, there's an increase. Transportation, there's an increase. Government has said we'll provide CNG buses to cushion the effect, but we can't really see some of these main projects by government on the street. We can't see where other sectors in the health can be well managed away from the pressure of this increase. So is it possible, Doctor, because the hardship is real on Nigerians?
Yeah, I mean, your survival would depend on the government understanding a number of things. And that's the nuances between policy design, policy implementation, and policy outcomes. That's the first thing that the government needs to understand. The second thing that the government will need to understand to make this work is to understand the true maturation period that it takes for all those benefits that we're looking at to crystallize. What are the benefits in this context? We're looking at getting to a market-driven system where we have enough domestic volumes that will match the demand and create a fair equilibrium price. However, in the interim, what do we do? So first and foremost, I think let's get the Dangote refinery working. If we need to give them, again, the most essential thing that we need to help them to be able to work probably is the crude for Naira. But I'm worried because the crude for Naira scenario is even threatened. Why is it threatened? It is threatened because we are, on one hand, getting a fall in our production capacity. On the other hand, we are actually losing some of those to crude oil theft. And on the other hand, we are also currently, through the NNPC, looking for $2 billion crude-backed loans, and we are still owing more crude-backed loans. And of course, we also have a lot of debt that we might resort to settling with the crude oil that we have. What that means is that most of our inventory has already been earmarked. And the reality is, where is the volumes for the domestic refineries? I think if we can sort this out, then we can get through a much hitch-free, transition period between the maturation, between the incubation phase and the maturation phase of our policies.
So good morning. I want to ask a question. What is your take on the long-term effect of economic hardship on the overall well-being of Nigeria as a nation and, of course, individuals in the society?
All right, thank you. I think for us to answer that question, let's take a cue, at different countries that this sort of scenario has happened, where we've had rapid loss in our economy. We've also had currency devalued quite a lot. What that means is that a lot of people would not be able to afford a lot of the things that they were able to afford. There will be a very huge correlation between the economic downtime and the crime rates in the country. There's also going to be a lot of effects when it comes to Nigeria's attractiveness from a competitiveness standpoint. And this is exactly what other countries, look at Venezuela, for example. Name it. We've had investors exit that space. We've also had the local currency. I mean, you're almost buying bread for 20,000 pesos at the moment. You've also had people earning I think about $20 is the average earning for the average person. So it's a worthless economy. So the effect is that we could get to a point where the bubble blows up. And I say the bubble, the reason I say the bubble is this: we are running a fiat economy. Why am I saying that? A fiat economy is certainly an economy where you're creating an economic bubble, where you're not really having an increment based on the fact that you're more profitable, you're more effective, you're more efficient. You're having an increment in your economy because of your devalued currency. Take a look. The NNPC tells us that they've done 4 trillion naira in profits. Look at their attendant value in dollars for the same year, for the same time last year, and for the same time this year. Also, take a look at the fact that they're owing 6.8 billion. You find out that what they've just done is paper profits, because by the time you superimpose the $6.8 billion with the 4 trillion naira, you find out that they've actually wiped off all their profit. So why are we reporting profits? And this is what I want people to understand. The fiat economy that we run is going to run us aground. We are talking about how much profits we're making as an economy. We're talking about GDP growth, and we are not looking at all the other fundamentals about well-being and good standard of living. We're just talking about numbers that are just paper numbers.
Right, Dr. Wisdom, I have a question for individuals who will say, before now, we saw how scarce the commodity of petrol was. It was really scarce. The queue in the filling station, nothing to write home about. Individuals were there for days. Some stayed over. Some, to get the product was a big problem. Now the product is everywhere. Don't you think the NNPC and the government are trying to make effort now that we see it everywhere in all filling stations? You can go in, instead of spending hours, you can spend max 3 minutes, 2 minutes, you are done. So what's your opinion on the commodity being available and the high cost in which it has come with?
No, I mean, there's always a trade-off. When you're talking about the availability, it's all about, are you ready to pay the price? There's always availability if you're ready to pay the price. But you see, my worry is about sustainability. My worry is, how long is it going to take us to get into another scarcity situation? That is my worry. So, I mean, what we're doing is simply we're treating the symptoms. I know that for certain. We are treating the symptoms. It's like having fever, you're having cough, and you're treating just the symptoms, but you've not gone for tests to find out, is it malaria, typhoid, or whatever thing that causes the same symptoms. Why do I know we are treating the symptoms? We are looking at, is there fuel? The answer is yes. But for how long is there fuel for? So we've not even tackled the fact that we have such a narrow importation window. We have 60 to 90 days importation window cycle. So that means that if there's any contractual breakdown, for every 60 to 90 days, we'll have fuel scarcity. That's the first thing that we need to know. So it doesn't even get to 60 to 90 days. Sometimes it stops at between 30 to 60 days. That's the first thing. We haven't solved that systemic issue. What about the debt? What is our plan to clear off the debt? The increase in price, is this sufficient enough to be able to reduce our subsidy payments? And what is the plan to pay off the debt? What we see right now is that the NNPC has been asked by the federal government to take part of the taxes and royalties that they're supposed to pay to the federal government and defray their, the subsidy payments that they owe. But the question is, how long can we do that, and how long is it going to take for us to clear that debt? And the reason I ask is this: if we do that, you need to know that the opportunity cost means we don't have so much from the NNPC coming to the federal allocation, and that's quite a big chunk of money. So what is the plan to clear up the debt? That's another systemic issue. What are the conversations around building strategic storage facilities? What are the conversations around boosting our production so that we can give to the domestic refineries? These are the more underlying conditions that needs to be addressed for the sustainability of the approach, and not just looking at there is fuel today. For fuel today, for how long, and how long will it take us to be at this price if we do not address the conditions that has led us to such a level of scarcity? We might well have a situation where in October we have to pay more, but we'll still have availability. So there's availability, but for how much are we going to be able to pay for that availability?
Right, Dr. Wisdom. Now, let us look at the efforts of the NMP, PC, and of course the government. Now, do you think they're trying as hard as they can to create that, to close the vacuum in which, that intertwines with hardship? Because we understand that this commodity has a lot to do with every sector when it comes to the employment, when it comes to purchasement of commodity, when it comes to transportation, everything intertwines. Do you think the government, they're making effort to stabilize this issue at hand?
Yes, I certainly think the government are making a lot of efforts to stabilize it. However,
Enough.
the truth of the matter is, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. But do you think the effort, you've said they're making a lot of effort, but do you think that effort is good enough? Is it actually pushing forth? Or is just effort and no action as quick as we want it as Nigerians?
I think there are efforts, and I think those efforts don't have the right level of clarity in terms of communication of the intent. So there's a lot of obscurity in those efforts, and I think the outcomes are not as fantastic as the efforts, that we see them put in. The reason I say so is there isn't clarity. I mean, how many times have you heard the NNPC say they cannot obtain? So let's even give context, right? You go to, let's say, Apapa, you see there's a ship berth there, at that point too, and perhaps there are inventories in there. And you're asking, why haven't they offloaded so that the circulation can go around the country? And what you hear are things like, there's a weather problem, there is thunderstorm, but little did we know that those guys are unwilling to offload their shipments because they do not respect, or they do not want a credit facility from the NNPC. What they do want is either cash or crude cargoes in equivalence. And so these are some of the issues that we are addressing. When you want to address something, you need to tackle it from a very honest and clear standpoint. No one is going to, be complaining if the government efforts are backed with sincerity and clarity. And then a lot of people can posit ideas. But when there's a lot of denial, there is no depth. Yes, there's debt, and it's causing a financial constraint that would affect distribution, and then an upward price review, and then the rumor that refineries can start selling whatever they want to sell to the public in October at any price. That lack of clarity is not giving confidence to the policy intentions by the government.
There is a concern towards Dangote Refinery. It is a failure on their part to update us on the status of that refinery. Over 6 times, they have postponed when particular refineries, will kickstart. They've been concerned about that. So, in a way, Nigerians are doubting the process. They are doubting the transparency of NNPC. Because it will tell us that Dangote just had a very short period of time to put is working. What is happening to Government Refinery? What happens to particular refinery where the NNPC chairman, last year, told Nigerians that as of January this year, 2024, the refinery will be up and running and doing right now. So we expect that, because these are the issues that we can Nigerians are more particular about. How can we reduce the hike on the product? Because we can't afford to sustain our economy, to sustain many Nigerians on buying fuel at this current price.
Yeah, absolutely. That transparency issue is a big problem. And it's even frustrating because, think about it, on Monday, the NNPCL, on Monday last week, at 11:30, the NNPCL reviewed the prices. In fact, I didn't see the official release. Rather, I saw some WhatsApp messages being forwarded around. And that showed there was an increment in price. And immediately the pumps stopped selling, and then they decided to work out how much they'll start selling going forward. Now, the same day by 2 o'clock, Dangote granted an interview to some journalists and said that he was ready to roll his products 48 hours when the directors of Dangote agrees with the NNPCL. And that was another conversation. A few days back, the Dangote released a press release that they cannot talk about pricing because they are currently, in a regulated market. And then subsequently, the government said, the NNPCL said, well, we're not interested in controlling any market. Anybody can sell to anybody. So there's a lot of lack of clarity as to what is going on there. There's a lot of lack of clarity as to whether or not the Dangote will be forced to go into the regional space where fuel is, the product is being sold between 1.3 and 1.5. There's a lot of clarity. There's even a lot of clarity as to what happens if the NNPCL, for example, cannot keep to the Naira for crude deal, that it's the basis that underpins the success of this whole Dangote refinery deal, selling to Nigerians at a reasonable rate, or at least at a rate that is going to be affordable for Nigerians. So that lack of clarity isn't clear. I think there's a lot of boardroom wars that are going on at the moment. So I don't have the answer to that. I don't know what's going on there. We only go by their releases, but we know that all is not well. But one interesting thing, though, I'm asking, is it the Dangote refinery's product that has gone round to alleviate or ameliorate the fuel crisis, or is it that NNPCL have been able to get some imported inventories in? I don't know the answer to that, because we do know that there's fuel now, but which of it? If it's Dangote, fantastic, it means the deal has gone through. If it's not, then we're on a long road to securing that deal.
Wisdom, I want to ask, for many individuals who are like minds like me, looking at the NNPC and of course the Dangote refinery, who we know he is a mogul when it comes to the oil sector. Now, do you think it's a collaboration to make means of livelihood balance in Nigeria, or it's a competition? Which is which, in your own opinion?
I think it's meant to make life better. And I'll say that because there are indications. Let me put it this way. The government proposed a monopsony approach. And that monopsony approach strikes a balance between monopoly and the free market system. So let me just run through. The monopoly would have been the seller, one seller, Dangote, selling to the rest of Nigeria and setting whatever prices. And I'll tell you what works in monopoly, how it works. When you're talking about monopoly, people come in and they have a price, perhaps a price bid, and they could say, one could say, I'm off-taking at 1,000, the other could say, I'm off-taking at 1,025, I have buyers. Another one would say, I'm taking at 1,100 Naira. And what that means is the Dangote is almost inclined to secure long-term deals with people that are offering the best amount of money. So as you see that happens, the price bidding would almost go towards maximizing profits for the Dangote refinery. That's on the monopoly side. On the free market side, you would need one conditionality, which is having enough of your supply to be able to hedge your demand to have an equilibrium price. Otherwise, you will be having a seller's market. So what the government has done is say, well, until they came out to deny it, NNPCL was meant to be, from what I saw, a monopsonist, which is, okay, we are in the middle, we buy the product, we arrange with Dangote refinery, perhaps maybe we apply subsidies, I would not know, but we buy those products and then we now sell onwards to the public and maybe at a very low margin. So it was designed to cushion the end-to-end effect of either being a monopoly or being a free market system that is market driven. But the thing is, how can we make this monopsonist work? We need a lot of communication. There is nothing to say that when we are implementing economic policies, that we do not have to tweak those economic policies to the realities of Nigeria. So if that's the case, so be it. I mean, if we're not ripe for a free market system, so be it. But a number of imperatives are important to make this work. The clarity and of communication is very important. That's number one. Number two is we need a price board. For example, what happens if the Naira appreciates? Everything is hinged also majorly on the exchange rate of the Naira. What happens if the Naira appreciates to such a point where it's about maybe 900, maybe, just my wishful thinking, and are we still going to be buying at the same price, or is there a board that would look at, let's review these prices? That's two. The third thing is, one of the ways I would think monopsonists would work very well is this. The NNPCL has an equity stake, I think, roughly some percent, I think, of an equity stake in the Dangote refinery, think about 8% or thereabout. or 7% actually. What they could do is to say, look, the Dangote refinery.
All
Can
right,
you hear
Dr.
me?
Wisdom, that's all we can take on our first discuss of the day. Thank you for being part of Global Morning this beautiful morning and sharing with us on the economic hardship in Nigeria. And of course, Dr. Wisdom Enang, he is the senior energy analyst and consultant. Thank you so much for being a part of Global Morning today and sharing your world of experience with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that is part one of the first discuss of the day on Global Morning. Part two, we will be looking at the arrest and release of the NLC President, Joe Ajaero, and we have an important guest with us in the studio. Stick around, the program continues shortly. It's Global Morning.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
The Global Morning team.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
The Global Morning team.
Many thanks for still with us on our morning program. A lot in concern, looking at the papers we had this morning, is Ajaero's NLC presidents that have been released by the Department of Security Service, and the concern also the fact that it looks that it was wrong for the DSS to arrest him. On one end, DSS probably had some information gathering. So I'll be joined this morning by a legal practitioner, senior legal practitioner, Ademola. Thanks so much for joining us on our program.
Good morning, and it's my pleasure again and again.
Thank you so much. A concern right now is an issue where we don't understand what is wrong with NLC, what is the problem with DSS, what is the problem with Ajaero, because these are the three factors. Some are saying, is the NLC president going after NLC president, is going after NLC. At the other end, people are saying, if we want to go after Ajaero, go to court. If we have any issues against him, go to court. How do we begin to substantiate this? Is it right for DSS to arrest him?
This is my second time of discussing this issue of Ajaero police or Ajaero other security agency on this channel. Nobody is above the law. And if truly we want to build strong institutions, we should allow our institutions to do their job. As long as they are doing their job within the precinct of the law. Once they have not violated any law, we should allow our institutions to do their job. This issue of invasion of NLC building started when the police invaded, in quote, let's use the word invaded, in quote, the NLC secretariat. And there was an uproar that the labor union is under attack. And then the police came out and said, Labor Union Secretariat, NLC building, which has about 10 floors, the entire building is not being used by NLC alone, that there are private individuals who are tenants to NLC as an organization, who have offices, private individuals who have offices within that building. Now, the police said one of the tenants using NLC Secretariat is under investigation, and that's why they went there. Police never touched NLC office as at that time. And at a point, the police came out and released a press statement saying the person under investigation is being investigated on issues relating to national security, terrorism, and the rest. So if in the course of their investigation, they now have any reason to suspect either staff or leaders, executive members of NLC, should we say because they are members of NLC, the police should not investigate individuals? Nobody is above the law. And then it is at that point police invited the NLC president, Ajaero, to come, and he refused to attend. And when my opinion was sought here, I said, police invitation does not amount to harassment. Then it is an invitation. They say they have something against you, there is an allegation against you, or they have something they want you to come and clarify. Then go. It is an invitation. It is when you now when you get there, and if you are the accused person, if they have anything against you, you are entitled to bail. If they now detain you more than the constitutionally allowed time, then we know that they are now acting beyond the law. Then all Nigerians can now rally behind you and criticize police for, yes, you have invited this person. You have turned the invitation to arrest. Now you are detaining him for more than 24 hours. This is not allowed by law. So he went there with our leader in the Nigeria bar, with one of our leaders in the bar, Chief Femi Falana, senior advocate of Nigeria. He went there, and it was interactive. The question, they didn't last up to 30 minutes within the police. So what has happened? Everyone has not fallen. Now, another institution of government, the DSS, are now also inviting him. And then he was released immediately.
It wasn't immediately. It was released around 11:45 p.m.
He was released immediately. I use the term immediately because he was not detained more than 24 hours. It's not even up to 24 hours. So it is still within the law.
But can the DSS detain more than that?
Nobody has power to detain any citizen beyond 24 hours if there is a court within 40-kilometer radius to the detention facility. Then you can also detain person beyond 24 hours if you have obtained an order of court to that effect. But so far, so good. One thing is certain to me now. The authority has reasons for inviting him, bordering on national security. Why did I say that? I don't know what they have against him. The DSS statutory duty is to ensure internal security. So if DSS arrests somebody for banking issue, for contract issue, for other issue other than national security, we will say the arrest or the invitation is illegal. But Ajaero has not disclosed to the public why he was invited, because he interacted with the police. He has interacted with the security service, the Directorate of Security Service. Up till now, he has neither himself personally nor his organization, the Nigerian Labour Congress, has made public the reason why he was invited. But you and I know he wouldn't have been invited if there is no reason for the invitation. Now, and upon this invitation, has any law been breached? I don't think so.
And this is another issue. They are concerned that it was billed to speak at a trade union event in United Kingdom. timing of his arrest, location of his arrest has also been to be that. I mean, probably we didn't have an invitation. We had police invitation that was, I mean, the letter was everywhere that the police are inviting the NLC president. So that's saying, why arresting him at the point where he's going out of the country to represent the Nigerian Labour Congress?
As I said earlier on, as a patriotic citizen, I will criticize any institution whose conduct, whose action I find illegal outside their statutory mandate. We don't know the information the Directorate of Nigerian Security Service, the Directorate of Security Services has against Ajaero. We don't know the information they have against his exit or his activities, where he's going. We know that their statutory duty is to gather intelligence, to gather facts that can enhance internal security of Nigeria. So I don't know, you don't know, and many Nigerians don't know the information they have. Wow. How his movement out of Nigeria at that particular time, how it will affect the internal security of Nigeria, national security of Nigeria, either internally.
So for DSS it was timely, for NLC it was not timely.
I have no reasons to question their modus operandi. It is their call, and they know the best way of doing it. As long as no law has been violated, I have no problem with it. But the moment any agency of government overstep their bounds within the precinct of the law, then all of us will rise up and criticize such agency. But we should all, at every point in time, place our national security above personal interest, because we have national interest as well as personal interest. Some people goes beyond their personal interest, they have political interests that they have converted to their own personal interest.
Are you indirectly saying that NLC are involved politically? Or in a way, this is also, on the flip side, is an intimidation on the part of government and groups, pressure groups and institutions that are speaking?
From time immemorial, pressure groups, especially labor groups, have always been confrontational with the established authorities. They have never been friends. They have always been going in and out of negotiation.
Under democracy.
But to say whether NLC is partisan, that is in the public knowledge. NLC is the greatest stakeholder in the Nigerian Labour Party. So partisanship together with the Nigerian Labour Congress is not a hidden thing. It's in the public knowledge.
What we mean by politics, election was over, so we are understanding that President Bola Tinubu is now on top of the game, is the president of the country. So in a way, do you feel that it's also the grounds of the last elections, or they are trying to distract the current administration, or the current administration are trying to intimidate people from speaking? Serap yesterday, their office, the directors have raised an alarm that it was besieged by the same DSS. It looks that there's a concern where people are saying that this government is targeting people from those that are speaking, and they don't want people to criticize the government. But in democracy, criticism is a welcome, if it's constructive, element.
Serap is a very powerful civil society organization in this country that has helped the Nigerian society a lot in terms of transparency, fighting against corruption, making information available to people. Serap is an organization that I, on my own, we voluntarily want to defend anytime, any day. But having said that, I'm saying that from the point of view of a patriotic Nigerian who wants a very good society. But at the same time, I will still not criticize the public authority if they have any reason, which I don't know now, which you don't know now. Serap is not such an organization that somebody will just oppress. Serap has always seized every opportunity to approach courts whenever they sense any illegality. So the police or DSS ransacking or searching Serap, as long as the reason behind these activities has not been made public, either by the so-called victim or the authority, I wouldn't want us to sensationalize such issues. And I wouldn't want us to preempt or to formulate what we are not sure of. The issue of national security, anybody can be questioned. The way the situation is in the country today, we have had a past president says, even within his cabinet, we had Boko Haram sponsors. We have had a situation that some governors are being linked to insecurity and banditry. So if the security agencies have any reason to call anybody to question, including myself, including yourself, including SERAP, including NLC, I just think that we should allow our institutions to do whatever they have to do. And if anybody thinks that his or her rights is being infringed, I think the best thing for such person is to approach the court, or in the alternative, to approach the court and to let the Nigerians know what is actually happening. Then we cannot force the security agencies to disclose the reasons why they catch people unaware. Their strategy is best known to them. But as long as they are acting within the law, I think we should be good. Nigerians should be good. That's my position.
The United Action Front of Civil Society also said that it's an attempt to cause anarchy, that the arrest of the NLC president is an attempt to cause anarchy. How do we substantiate this?
The question is, why is it difficult for NLC as an organization under Mr. Ajaero or Mr. Ajaero himself to issue a comprehensive press statement explaining the accusations against him? If he issues a press statement and he explains the accusation against him, then Nigerians will have more access to clarify their speculation as to reason why he's being invited. Is he being witch-hunted? If truly he's being witch-hunted, why has he not approached the court? Putting these facts together on my own, I conclude that there is something rubbing against his skin. Why the security agencies have to be inviting him every now and then. If not, he should make public the allegation against him. Because if there is no allegation against him, police invited you, didn't want to go, then you eventually went with your lawyer, you are granted bail, either on self-recognition or by entering recognizance. And then you came out, you didn't tell Nigerians what allegations against you are. Should it be hidden, given the status of NLC president? Having gone in there, they have invited me, they accused me that I did this, and I didn't do it. I have not read any statement from NLC or from Ajaero clearing the questions the police asked him, or was he told by police not to make the questions that relate to him known to the public? So if police had invited you and you refuse to let us know why they invited you, then I think they are justified in inviting you. If police invited you, you consider it illegally. They have illegally invited you, and you have not approached the court. That means they are justified in arresting you. NLC or Mr. Ajaero himself should make it known the reasons why police invited him, what were those things he was asked. And he should let Nigerians know whether to support him, whether to save him, whether we should rally behind him. But because the police invited, police are doing their job. I cannot say police, if they have reasons, I cannot say police should not invite anybody they suspect to have committed a crime. Police will invite that person. And if that person goes in there and they have accused you or alleged you of wrongdoing, and if you are such a public figure, let us know why the police say you are connected. Let us know that you are not actually connected. So you just go inside there and then you come out. You didn't give us any fact. You didn't reveal anything to us. You are now telling us that the federal government wants to silence labor. Not everybody will flow with that kind of tide, because it is nebulous. You cannot put us in darkness and you'll be whipping up sentiment that we should support you. Me, I don't buy that.
Do you feel this is unconnected to the End Bad Governance protest? Because it just barely just a month now, we had a protest. So they have issues of treason. We've seen that some people are behind bars right now, are probably taken to prison already for the last End Bad Governance protest. And some people are saying, you can't say these ones had committed treason. Why are you after those who are speaking, those who are leading protests, those who are condemning and criticizing the policies of government? That's what likely many Nigerians are seeing all of these actions should be.
See, there are three categories of people that are criticizing the performance, that are assessing the performance of every administration. One are the opposition. They are not, some of them are doing it patriotically. Some of them are doing it on the basis of demarketing the present government so as to get favor at the next poll, at the next election. It is expected. It is not out of place. APC never spoke well about PDP when PDP was in power. And you don't expect a PDP, you don't expect a Labour Party to say anything good, even if they are doing good, about the present administration. That is a set of people. Then we have genuinely oppressed Nigerians who are feeling hardship.
And I want you to use that yardstick, the measurement of genuine Nigerians,
Nigerians
who are saying these are the issues. I'm not quoting any political party.
Who are talking based on their personal experience under the government. They have more reasonable, they have more genuine concerns. And their argument, when you listen at it, they don't consider coming election. They just want to live good life. They just want to live good. They just want the economy to be okay. They just want a better society where their hopes and aspirations.
So it looks like the politicians are already interested in 2027, but Nigerians are not interested.
Can flourish. That is what those people want. And then there are other people too who are neither politicians, who are neither genuine, neutral citizens, who are commercial activists. We have them. Commercial activists whose duty, they follow different NGO, whose duty is to get subventions and donations from international donors, forming fake team, and then they know that a lot of citizens will rally behind them because as long as you are criticizing government, people will always feel that you are on the side of the people. We know such activists in this country whose duty is just to ensure that they create one chaos or the other, they create one demonstration or the other, so as to get foreign donation from foreign sponsor. And it is such people that foreign interests use to criticize our government policies. So as a Nigerian, whenever you listen to anybody, you should be able to filter from which perspective is this person talking from. Is he an opposition? This thing is criticizing. Let me look at it from the point of an opposition. This guy talking is a Labour Party guy. Okay, if I follow him hook, line, and sinker, he may mislead me. Let me critically look at this particular policy of government, whether this government is actually, whether this policy is actually good, whether this Labour Party man is just trying to market his own party to be politically correct. Then, if it is a genuine Nigerian, yes, this concern this person is expressing is right, is hungry, is working, the fuel price has gone up, electricity tariff has gone up, this person is actually feeling pain. Is there any hope for him? Is there any advice I can give this person? Then if it is those activists, in quotes, who are doing it for the purpose of their own pocket, who will use NSAS to make millions, who will use bad governance to make millions. So when you are listening to anybody, you should understand from which perspective this person is talking from. So when there is this bad governance now, all these three categories of people were involved. There are genuine Nigerians who are genuinely joining the protest for the sake of expressing their displeasure against the hardship. And then we have politicians too, who may not even come out boldly, but they will be sponsoring violence so as to discredit I'm not speaking for the current government, so as to discredit the government of the day for their own political benefit, for their own political correctness, for their own political justification. Those people too, they are part of the demonstration end bad governance. And the people who are also being sponsored by foreign government, who want Nigeria to be destabilized for their own national interest, who will sponsor individuals to discredit Dangote, Nigerian emancipation from IOC, and so on and so forth. So in all of this, when government now see reason to arrest, for example, maybe people who have foreign sponsorship, or maybe people who belong to one of the political parties, who are not genuinely actually demonstrating to make the feeling of Nigerians known. People will not separate the reason behind your own purpose of the demonstration from the reason behind this person's purpose of demonstration and the reason behind this other person's purpose of demonstration. Everybody that participated in the End Bad Governance, the three categories of these people have different reasons and they had different agenda. So if among these people we have anybody whose agenda, if we had anybody whose agenda is to destabilize the country, should that person go unpunished? That is my question. It is during this End Bad Governance that we heard that somebody had generated, was hoarding about 80 billion naira in cryptocurrency. And that money is connected to what? 80 billion naira in cryptocurrency connected with End Bad Governance demonstration. Now tell me, 80 billion naira for genuine demonstration. How genuine is that? So if that person is arrested now, are we also actually going to say he's arrested because he's sincerely demonstrating, he's sincerely expressing concern against bad governance? Definitely no.
Multifaceted issue.
Thank you.
We do not have a lot of time, but Prince Ademola Oyedokun is a lawyer and a Pan-Africanist and political commentator. Thanks so much for your contributions and always being here on the program this morning.
It is my pleasure. Thank you so very much.
All right, so we'll wrap it up with Jumai very shortly. Please stay with us.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
All right, you're welcome back. And this is where we draw the curtain on Global Morning this beautiful Tuesday morning. Hope you've had an amazing time with us from the beginning, right, Edikan, from the AM news to the newspaper review, our first and second discuss. And
a whole lot to get today. And we are expecting that some of these things that we are discussing, that government will begin to pay attention to them.
Exactly.
And to get Nigeria working. Because this is our own country.
Yes,
this is our only country.
Yes,
we can always get the country better.
Yes, of course, our country can only get better. And with that, we have to wrap it up. Remember, I am Jumai Manson, and my co-host today, not the person than
Edikan Michael.
Thank you all so much for being a part of Global Morning. Have an amazing day ahead. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Evidently, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle, the ASU strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.